Okay, so we are here at Itinerant Literate Books in the backyard. We're going to talk about some of our books, some of the books we're most excited about for fall, October specifically. Mm-hmm. This is part of a new series we're doing where we talk about some of the books that we really want to highlight for the month that are coming out.
And we are calling it...
Are we calling it? Do we know?
Spread the news! and it's called...
Spread the word!
Yeah?
Okay, episode 2, October. I'm so excited about Tuesday Mooney Talks to Ghosts. It is the perfect book that you want to read for October, I think. Okay, Tuesday Mooney Talks to Ghosts is about a scavenger hunt through Boston. This crazy millionaire man dies and then puts into his obituary that there is a prize to be won by anyone who can figure out all the clues and make it through. And the Tuesday Mooney happens to be a researcher at a nonprofit, and so she was at the event where the billionaire died. And that's how she kind of gets roped in. And then you find out like a lot more about all the characters as you go through. There's first of all, her best friend from childhood died in mysterious circumstances. She tried to use a Ouija board to communicate with her and thought she was able to.
My parents always said we were never allowed to bring one of those.
It was always terrifying.
Yeah.
I used one once.
We lived in a funeral home.
What? You are Tuesday Mooney.
Continue.
Okay, so she uses the Ouija board to contact her friend and thinks ends up hearing her in her head, but then also is convinced that it's just like neuroses. And I won't reveal how much of a ghost story it really is. Is she really talking to ghosts? Is it really her friend she hears? Or is it really mental illness?
Ooh, we don't know.
I love it. It sounds so good. Okay, so this month, for this month, I read This Is Your Brain on Birth Control. The Surprising Science of Women, Hormones, and the Law of Unintended Consequences. If you know anybody who's on birth control, if you know anybody who's not on birth control, if you know anybody who identifies as a woman, if you yourself identify as a woman, if you know a woman, then you should read this book because it's really interesting. And it just gives a whole lot of insight into the way that hormones interact with yourself and the people around you. In my experience, hormones, when they really should have been treated as something as this is a really impactful thing to your life, has been just like super trivialized. Like, go to 16. Here, what? I want to go on birth control. Okay, here are all of the things you can take.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you go in and you're first put on birth control, they're like, oh, you might feel a little bit tired. You might feel a little bit this. Like,
right.
This might happen.
Or they're like, you might gain weight.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
They're not thinking about the fact that hormones control so many things, and it is a domino effect. Mm-hmm. So any little tweak, it can make or break a lot of people, you know. It just depends. And it's different for everybody, and they don't really prepare you for that in the exam room.
It's just about making an informed decision about your medication, your choices, your life.
Or realize like what could be affecting you. Yeah.
Right. Anyways, there's all kinds of really, 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 really interesting nuggets in this book that I really enjoyed. I highly recommend it.
Okay, so Cursed, it's basically a retelling of the Sword in the Stone with Nimue, and she's one of the Fae folk, and they start getting massacred by these people called the Red Paladins, basically because the Red Paladins are like, you are heathens and you're following all of these dark gods. Her mother dies, is killed by the Red Paladins, and she gives her the sword and says, take this to Merlin. Of course, on her way, she meets Arthur and all of the other important characters to the Sword in the Stone. One in particular is really interesting. You're just like, oh shit, didn't see that coming.
Oh, one of the characters who shows up?
Yeah, it's really good.
Not Morgana Le Fay, but she's she in it?
Yes.
Okay.
But she's not, like...
She's not super witchy?
She has her witchy moments, but she's not quite the evil Morgana that we all know and love.
She's painted as the evil one in some of the traditional tales.
Yeah, because of patriarchy.
Yeah.
But really, like, she's
a pagan priestess.
She was a bad bitch.
In the traditional tale, Arthur was her half-brother.
Yes.
And she manipulates him into having sex, and then she has Morgan.
Yes.
their evil child who
Yes.
eventually kills her,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it's very different. And the women in this, the women who are usually cast in a negative light, like Morgana, or who are just kind of pushed to the side, like Nimue, have very strong roles in this. So yeah,
I think that it paints a good picture.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
very female-forward retelling. There's a lot of cool new elements.
and it's a quick read, and it's a fun read,
Yep.
and I recommend it. Thank you. Oh no!
Wait. Say, long live the queen!
Yes.
Long live the queen! Yeah, what's happening?
I don't know.